it's Natalia, and welcome back to Unfiltered Fashion Talks. Today we have the one and only Emma Rubinson with us today. How are you?
Doing great.
So if people don't know who you are, give us a quick little intro of yourself.
Sure. So my name's Emma Rubinson. I just graduated from fashion school this past spring in 2021. I have been doing fashion since I was super little. I just love working with materials and textiles and bright, bright colors, as you can see probably.
Yes.
And I am so excited to have met Natalia through TikTok, where I've been sharing most
Yes.
of my work and process and all of that. And super cool to be here and talking about inspiration and fashion and all that.
Yes. Okay, so let's go back to like how you started in fashion. I feel like, all of us that do fashion were like, it's just always been a thing in our lives. But give us like your, pre-fashion school story.
Sure. So I kind of got started when I was really young at summer camp.
Mhm.
I had a friend actually who is now one of my good friends here in the city. We like went all the way through fashion school together and has been one of my longest lifelong friends. But the two of us, when we were really young at summer camp, um, got into fashion design. She used to go to like an after school sewing studio back at home, and I kind of joined that a little bit later. I really started getting into it with cutting up t-shirts and
Mhm.
doing like upcycled projects and just getting whatever materials I could find to create whatever I could think of at the time, just to kind of get practice and to figure out what things I needed to learn and just to kind of develop any amount of understanding, because there was no waiting for like the right time to start getting into it. I just had to go for it.
Right.
Um, so that was kind of like my middle school fashion experience. And then later in high school, I started working more one-on-one with the teacher that ran this after school program to work on a project, like a senior project,
Mhm.
where I did a big installation event. It was based around fashion, but it was also about kind of bringing an experience to a group of people where they could kind of all have this collective shared event and experience where people
Mhm.
could kind of contribute to the art and connect with each other. And that kind of was like probably the spark into where I'm going now.
Mhm.
I just have always kind of worked on my own projects, and then I went into school kind of with this like very creative passion, looking for ways to bring people together through art, and that's kind of where a lot of my inspiration comes from, and
Mhm.
um, the thought process that I use to develop my collections now.
Right. Yeah, you're definitely like one of the like most creative people I feel like I see nowadays. And you're also like just very like bold and like colorful in your designs, and I feel like that's not seen as much sometimes. So, I love it. That's really cool. Let's talk about your final like thesis project or whatever it's called that you did for college. Because
Okay.
I feel like is that what kind of like blew you up on TikTok in a way?
Sort of. I kind of realized while I was going through, I wanted to build an audience on TikTok because I
Right.
wanted to have an audience to see the collection when it was going to come out. I
Yeah.
knew for all of college, I knew that I was going to be doing a thesis collection. I had sort of gotten into social media stuff before, but just didn't really have the patience and wasn't ever really good with it. And also,
Right.
I take social media hiatuses like once a
You
month.
have to. Like it's rough.
I kind of just didn't really have the stamina to keep it up until the pandemic,
Mhm.
when I was like, you know what? Like, it's summer before my senior year. I have literally nothing else to do. I might as well kind of like gather people who are passionate about the same thing and share some of my stuff, so that, in a year from now, when I'm coming out with my collection, hopefully I'll have an audience that I'll be able to share it with and something that people
Right.
can connect to and make some new friends along the way. So I kind of did it by, I kind of like navigated to find the niche. I
Mhm.
settled with like pattern making tutorials because that was something that people seemed to really like. When I would,
Yeah.
show working on my thesis, I'd be like, hey, I want to make this sleeve. And it's going to be like, how do I do that? And I showed a video
Right.
of that. It blew up. I think that's what got me like probably the majority of my follower base at the
Mhm.
beginning. So I kind of kept with it, and I just came up with different fun tutorials of like how to show people how to manipulate patterns. And I feel like that's something that I haven't seen anybody on TikTok that does. As
No, I don't think anybody really does.
there's a lot. It's been awesome to find like so many accounts that do like sewing supplies and kind of showing
Right.
how they're making something, process and things like that. And I feel like the pattern making, I feel like I've really found my like very specific niche with pattern
Yes, you definitely have.
and I love pattern making. It's like one of the most fun parts of the process to me.
Mhm.
It's like a little puzzle to figure out. Like I
Yeah.
drew a thing on flat paper, like how am I actually going to construct it? And I think it's pretty cool, like when I can actually figure that out and like show someone
Yes.
else how to do that. And you know, tutorials, it's like a way that people can kind of see what I'm doing and figure out a way to like implement it into their own life. So then we have something
Right.
in common. And then there's more of a conversation, you know, and it's they kind of understand when the collection comes out, like they see what goes into it and they see
Right.
that it's like so much work to create, you know, just 6 outfits, you know, took me like
Yeah.
almost a year to make. And so people kind of like were looking forward to that because they were seeing, oh, they seeing like, you know, little sleeves or this and that, and probably being like, oh, like I remember when I did that TikTok where I showed how I patterned that sleeve. This is how it looks in the final garment.
Right.
And that was really fun. Yeah, so that was like the social media promo leading up to the thesis show.
Right. Which was so cool, by the way. That collection is so freaking cool.
Thank you.
Like I always love seeing people who do that type of stuff because I'm just like not a very avant-garde like designer whatsoever. I've always been super just like wearable pieces kind of person. So I love seeing people that actually do creative stuff like that because I'm like I just was never one of those people. So it's like the coolest thing to me when people can come up with stuff like that. I'm like, wow, I could never.
Thanks. Well, I think it's cool that like the industry has so many different types of designers that
Yes.
some of us are, you know, obviously there has to be like some designers that are making things that people want to wear.
Right.
And I, you know, maybe I'm like not doing myself a favor by making stuff that I am only making one-off pieces of, but
But it's like art
you know,
though, you know?
yeah,
It's like,
I do love the like craft part of it. I put a lot of
yeah,
like attention to detail into like all the specific like textiles that I'm using,
exactly.
experimenting and all of that. And I found a way that I'm going to be able to share the one that I'm working on now so that people can wear it without me having to go into production.
Yes.
So that's pretty.
That's so exciting. Which we're also going to talk about that because I'm very intrigued about your future plans. It's also cool for people to see that you can come out with like a design degree and you don't have to like right away be like a fashion designer at some like big company or anything. Like I feel like everybody has that stereotype of like if you go into fashion design, like the only job opportunity you have is like being a fashion designer at some brand. But I'm like, there's like so much to fashion. And I know you did like a little mini series on like TikTok of all the different like jobs and stuff you could have in fashion. Cause I feel like that's such a commonly asked question. It's like, what do you even do with this degree?
Yeah, I feel like it's because people don't know that it's a deterrent
Yeah.
from people going to study fashion because they think they're
Right.
not going to end up with a job, which is like totally not the case. Like I think people
Exactly.
have this like very just like I guess like uninformed mentality of like
Mhm.
either I have to be my own famous fashion designer or I'm
Yeah.
gonna be like unemployed or like working minimum wage forever, which is like so
Not
not
true.
the case. There are so many fashion is like one of the biggest industries that exists. Obviously,
Exactly.
wears clothes, it relates to everybody on some level. Like
Yeah.
the amount of people that are needed to do specific things within that industry, like not even to mention there's so many different types of fashion that you can get into. Like
Yes.
it's I feel that it's a very like stable career like path because
Mhm.
there are so many things. Like I want to start my own brand, but I have so much to learn before I do that. Like I
Yeah.
know that I'm gonna like work for a bunch of people before I end up going off and doing my own thing, you know?
Yeah. No, I think that's so cool. And I appreciate that you bring light to that because I always get asked about those things and I just never know how to answer them. I'm like, I know there's a million jobs in fashion. I never did them. Like I never worked them, but I know there's a lot of other things you can do.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I never had to apply to a job right out of fashion school. So I feel like I'm never qualified enough to tell people like, you can get a job with a degree because I'm like, I never even tried.
Well,
So
you're doing it all yourself. So you
yeah.
know all the different things that it takes to go to create a successful brand, you know, like
Right. Yeah. It's
kind
just like a different path. So I always feel like I'm not allowed to tell people like, yeah, you'll get a job right after school because I don't know. Like I never actually tried.
of
So I always feel like I'm not allowed to say that. But you definitely can get a lot of great jobs in the fashion industry regardless. So it's
and I
cool
know a
to see
lot of, you
that.
know, so many people will like you know, my job is like kind of tangential to fashion. I'm not working at a fashion company, but I'm working at
Right.
a company that works with a lot of fashion companies. So it's like
Yes.
there, you know, the possibilities are endless. There's so many things you can do.
Yeah, they really are. Um, so you kind of mentioned that you want to start a brand, and I know you've been like teasing stuff on social media.
I tease stuff so that I hold myself accountable.
Yeah, no, I do the same thing though. I'll be like,
Honestly,
new collection coming. Have I started on it? No.
oh my
But
god,
I'm like, it
I was
keeps me
like, oh,
accountable.
I'm just gonna like make a mood board and post it. And I was like, and I got so many DMs that were like, oh my god, is it a new collection? I was like,
Yeah, but you got to do it. I get it. You got to tease it so that people keep you accountable for it.
I know. Then it's like I can't like post it and then not do it because like if I have an
Exactly.
audience, like I got to be like credible to some degree, you know.
Yeah, and there will be that
Hey
one
guys,
person
like,
that's like, "Hey, you said this like 3 months ago. Are you doing it?"
I'll be like, I kind of just said no.
Yeah.
That is why I post it because I'm saving myself from the future embarrassment of saying that I didn't do it.
Yes.
Um, yeah, but it's so hard. I mean, like I feel like I work so hard at my
Yeah.
job. Like I also live in New York and like want to have my life in New York. So
Yeah, as you should.
I feel like everybody in the city has the same type of mentality of if you don't wake up early, like everybody like does a zillion things. Everybody
Right.
hates the morning but has to wake up early because otherwise there's not enough time in the day.
Yeah.
And by the end and then it's like everybody's like crazy grinding all week and then people go so hard on the weekends just like
Right.
letting it go being like okay we made it, you know.
Yeah.
Which is very fun. It's an interesting hustle of a lifestyle.
It definitely is. It definitely is. So, are you gonna come out with anything? Are you actively working on anything, or are you like playing with the idea of it?
I am actively working on things.
Okay.
I'm actually going fabric sourcing today.
So
Uh,
exciting.
I'm really excited. I have not been on like a little garment district swatching spree in a while,
Oh,
so I'm really
that's so
looking
fun.
forward to it. I'm taking my coworker who's never been before, so that'll be good.
Oh, that's exciting.
Um, yeah, so I recently had this like big emotional renaissance,
Mhm.
like the inception of the idea, where I was like, I don't know, just things just felt like they were just making sense. And
Yeah.
I felt like, you know, I'd been through this like pretty intense like growth period over the course of the pandemic. And now I'm
Right.
like, I'm living in New York, like I'm 22 and you know,
Yeah.
the pandemic's still around, but like I'm just so excited about the next chapter of my life.
Mhm.
So, and I feel like that's kind of the vibe. Like people are really itching to like just burst out of this like
Yes.
really unfortunate like situation that we're in and have been for the last like 2 years. Yeah, I really don't want to talk about the pandemic because I'm tired of it.
Yeah, no, me too. Me too.
But you know, I just feel like everybody's like really itching for something really exciting, and that's kind of the inception of my inspiration for this collection.
Mhm.
It's called Emergence, and the way that that kind of applies in various forms. Um, and I listen to like a lot of EDM when I'm trying to design because
I love that.
no, it gives me like the endorphin high, you know, like
Mhm.
I have to like have my headphones on with the bass boosted and it's got to be like blasting bass drops. And
That's
I'm
so
telling you,
funny.
like, that is where I come up with my best ideas. Like, I will sit there and I will like just close my eyes and then the bass will drop and I like see the runway.
And
And
you're
I'm
like,
like,
emergence.
I know it's gonna be. Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it just music is so inspiring to me, and so
Yes.
that's kind of where I started with this one. I have this whole vision that on my birthday it's gonna launch. It's a little tight. I'm giving myself 5 months for this whole thing.
I mean, it's possible.
It's
It's tight,
possible.
but it's possible.
Yeah. So the goal is I'm working with this rental platform app called Wardrobe. I don't know if you've
Mhm. Yeah, I've heard of them.
they do it's basically like Rent the Runway but like individuals can create a closet that people
Mhm.
can rent from, and a lot of people are doing it, you know, just as like a I have this like evening gown that like I never
Right.
wear, it fits my closet, like I'll make some passive income on the side.
Mhm.
And I was talking to somebody there who was kind of explaining to me how the platform works, and I was like, could this be an opportunity for me to launch a collection where I don't have to give up my pieces that I'm emotionally attached to
Right.
and people can wear them, and you know I'm not going into production, so it's kind of going to be like one-off pieces that are rentable,
Yeah.
um that people, you know, and then it'll be like a testing the market thing of like this thing got rented a bunch of times, that's clearly something that people like, so that's, you know,
Right.
if I'm going to invest in production, that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
uh, and because of that, like I'm trying to do, you know, things with like lots of knits and stretch fabrics and things like that, so they can be like size flexible, because
Yeah.
I think it would like suck for me to be like, here's a collection that I made, but it is only in size 4. And
Yep. And you're gonna get so much hate for that.
yeah. So that is the one thing that I feel like is really important to me, to make sure that it's like going to be a collection that's accessible to people to wear. But it's hard because, you know, because like if I'm going to spend so much time on one piece, I can't do it in every size. Like it's
No,
just,
you can't. It's impossible.
you know, it's like it would be so expensive.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm thinking about that in my design process. Like, how can I like maximize the size range of this garment,
Right.
and have it look flattering on as many people as possible, while still being like the avant-garde style that I love. So yeah, that's going to be something that I'm looking for when I'm like material sourcing. It's like, just finding things that are flexible and will be able to be worn by a lot of people, because I think otherwise it would be very limiting and not very successful.
Unfortunately, yeah. But no, that's so cool. I wouldn't even like think of launching a collection in like a rental way, but that's so smart.
I didn't even think of it until I heard about this. Like originally I was like, oh, like this seems like a sustainable fashion thing. Like maybe I could them for a TikTok. And then I was like, this is so much better than that. Like I can actually use this as a way to like actually give my work to people. And like, you know, I'll do accessories, I'll do merch, I'll do like stuff that goes with it, that if people want to like buy pieces that like, you know, aren't going to be super labor intensive, like I will be able to produce. You know, as like an alternative. But like, yeah, like I always wanted to like, because that's the point, you know, like you make your work, people get to see it, and like that's cool. But like it's even better if you get to share it with them and they get to actually touch it and wear it and feel it. You know, like I want to make, the way that I think about my design process is like, I want people to wear my stuff and feel like they can just own the world. And like if they can't wear it, then they're not going to feel that way. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's so cool with like rental, because then like a lot of people can get that experience with like a single piece. Obviously if you're doing these like crazy pieces, it's like you're not gonna make a million of these. There's only like one.
And it's like people know that it's a one of a kind piece, and people know like, you know, I have this for a week, you know, like I'm gonna make the most out of it. I'm gonna make the most out of like what I have it for the week for, you know. And it's like nobody needs like something like that to sit in their closet. And like this it can, you know, the odds that like 100 people are going to want that exact garment at the same time, pretty small.
Exactly.
But 100 people can wear that garment for their one event, and it can be like a living, and then it has a story. And like, you know, people have like it's like, you know, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, like people post their Instagrams like wearing the thing, and somebody else is like, oh my god, I wore that like 6 months ago, you know, like so I'm excited about that prospect. I think that'll be really cool. I think I will probably have more to say on it when I'm like more developed and actually making the collection. That's kind of the plan.
That's so cool. I love that. Like I love that so much. It's also like really great like promo for yourself, because people, if they rent those pieces out, they're gonna take pictures in it. Like there's no way you're renting something like that and not taking a picture in it. That's so cool.
I'm excited. Should be fun. I'm a little overwhelmed. I don't know how I'm gonna get it done in 5 months, but
I don't blame you. It is a lot, especially if you are kind of working on trying to make it like size inclusive, in a sense of like making things either like adjustable or like stretchy enough, or like, you know, like that. There's like a lot to that people don't realize. Like size inclusivity is really, really difficult to actually achieve. And very expensive, which unfortunately is not talked about enough, but it's difficult.
It's also like things like grading patterns to different sizes is like not a thing that
nobody knows how to do it. I don't know how to do it. Like I get asked about it all the time, because like I do it for my brand, but like I don't know if I'm doing it correctly.
I feel like everyone's either figuring it out and winging it, or, you know, you have this like super expensive and accessible computer software that you like basically studio for in order to do it. And it's like at that point it's worth it to just have a professional just grade your patterns for you. Like I wish there was like a book on it or something.
I've tried. I have a book on grading, but it's like very basic grading. it's like a normal, like, you know, like from your normal sloper and then grade it. But I'm like, what about like princess seams? How do
Right.
you grade that? Or like multiple like panels, like how do you grade that?
Right. Yeah. Like you like, and it's like if you have designs that are so complex, like you can't, you got to do so many fittings with every single size to even see if you've graded correctly, and then probably make a zillion adjustments. Like it is an entire career
Yeah.
path itself. I think it's so funny on TikTok when people are like, how do you do this? And then how do you make it in a size range? And I'm like,
Yeah, I'm like,
you probably are going to spend a year on that. Like,
literally, especially if you are trying to get into like the plus sizes, like that's a whole different kind of grading that
oh,
there is zero books on,
no.
zero anything on. Like I have like searched like so much of the internet trying to find like some sort of standard way of doing plus size grading. Nothing. There is no book. There is nobody knows
Well,
how
and
to do
like
it.
even the major stores like get it wrong. You
Exactly.
know?
So it's like there's just no knowledge of it.
Yeah,
It's
there's
crazy.
so many like so many issues with, yeah, no, it's, there needs
It's
to
a
be more
lot.
emphasis on, especially because I know there's so many designers that like want to do it and want to do it right.
Exactly.
But if like, you know, major fashion brands are not grading proportionally, you know, like a lot of the times they'll just be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, just scale it up." And it's like, no,
Right.
like
Like
that's not how you make things look flattering on an
exactly.
actual body. Like it's not just like a,
It's not
yeah.
that easy.
Plus it's like, you know, you have people that like can wear the same size, but like it's
Right.
gonna be totally differently because like some people have really long legs, some people
Right.
have, you know, wider hips, and some people have different proportions. And like
Yeah.
I feel like the best thing to do is like, and it's like this is like only something that you can do for one design at a time, you know, like
Mhm.
do made to order
Yeah.
and just keep all your patterns. But like the amount of time that that's going to take to build up a pattern library of like
Yeah.
every style in every size you want to offer, years.
Yeah. Like it's so expensive, so time consuming, and like so difficult.
Yeah.
So difficult.
Yeah.
And like I've managed this far somehow. Somehow.
Like, job,
But I'm
so.
like, I'm like, if this continues growing, I don't know if I can keep this up because it's
Yeah.
just too
Do you
much.
check out your stuff to get graded by someone else, or do you do like
Funny
all your stuff?
story. I did that one time for my last collection because I was like, oh, I'm gonna save myself time. I'm gonna get it professionally done because they were like pieces that like actually had zippers and like it was a little bit more complex than previous things I had done. So I was like, I'll get it professionally graded. Got some random grader on like Fiverr who had like all 5 stars, great reviews, said she had like a bunch of experience in the industry or whatever. And I was like, seems legit. She ended up messing it all up and had to redo all of my patterns, ended up grading it all myself. Like it was just so bad. So I'm a little scarred.
There,
Yeah.
there
And I
are
had
places in the city that I can say are trustworthy. So
yeah, I feel like now I need to like just go to people like actually in places like that. But it's like I don't freaking live in a place that has people like that. So I have to do it through the internet, which is so annoying.
yeah.
But yeah, and like this person I'd asked her, I was like, do you know how to like grade the plus sizes? Because like I have like a, you know, like a wider size range. And she was like, yeah, like I can do that. And I was like, okay. She didn't do that. She just graded it evenly all the way up to like, you know, whatever size I had told her. And I was like, that's definitely not right. And like I know that. But I don't know how to fix that, but I know that's not right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So it's so tough because it feels like, you know, every designer like wants to make sure that every single element of their stuff is done correctly, but it's like, how much can you really do yourself? Like I want to do it all
exactly.
myself, you know.
Right.
But it's like you can't. Like, you
Mm-mm.
can't do it all yourself, and it's hard to like accept that, and also
Yes.
hard because it's so hard to find people that can like really do it at the level that you want it and like in
Yeah,
the way that you want it done. So
exactly.
yeah,
It's a lot.
yeah,
But it's fine, you know, we'll manage. We'll do
yeah.
it. It's great. Oh my God, I just had like the biggest brain fart ever. Hold on, I'm gonna look at my notes. I had my friend do a deep dive of you.
Of me.
Yeah, I was like, can you do a deep dive on these people that I'm gonna do like my podcast with in case you find something that I don't already know?
I think it's funny that there's like enough information about me on the internet now that like people
Right?
That is quite odd to me. Yeah, the day that I got an email that I'm on famous birthdays, I was like,
Are you really?
yeah.
Wait, how does that
What I
even
hate
work?
about it, though, is that it's like Emma Rubinson, TikTok star, and I literally, they were like, please let us know if any of this information is inaccurate, and I was like, can you please change TikTok star to
That
fashion?
is so funny.
I don't need to be here as a TikTok star. Like, please, fashion designer, please. And they never responded. So
That
yeah,
is hilarious. I can't believe you're a TikTok star. Wow. I can't believe I'm talking to a TikTok star.
I guess so. You know, a famous birthday said so. So
That's so funny. How many followers do you have on TikTok?
good question.
You have like your biggest platform on TikTok, right?
Yes. On TikTok, I have 242,000.
That's insane.
I think might have just happened because lately my videos have been doing okay.
Yeah,
So
you've been popping up a lot on my For You page lately.
I need to I have like some more ideas. I just didn't sleep at all this week, so I have not filmed
No,
this.
I don't blame you. Also, it takes so long to film TikTok videos, especially
Yeah.
like patterning ones. You have to think about it. You have to like, kind of figure out how to do it and then actually do it and like
Yeah.
try to describe it in an easy way.
Most of the time I have my pattern making book open like right next to me and I'm just like following the steps.
I bet.
Okay, this is how you do this type of sleeve. It's like,
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. Also, what pattern making book do you use? I feel like we should put it out into the world
should I
because
go and grab it? It's right on the
yeah,
table.
because I literally get asked about pattern making books all the freaking time, and I am the worst, and I literally do not own a single pattern making book. I don't know how I've made it this far.
This is my Bible. It is called Pattern Making for Fashion Design.
Okay, I'll find a
I
link to it.
love this book. I mean, it's on Amazon. It's
Yeah.
on there's actually interestingly a little note on it that says circulation of this edition outside the Indian subcontinent is unauthorized. So I guess this is illegal.
Nobody needs to know.
Nobody needs to know. Yeah, no, I love this book. It's not only shows you all the pattern manipulations, it shows you how to draft a basic set and it has measurement charts. It has personal measurement charts and form measurement charts. So you can kind of compare both of them and see like fit is different. I haven't actually, like if I were to actually fill one of these out, I'd probably photocopy it because I just can't see myself writing in this book.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to either.
But yeah, I mean, it literally like, and people ask me because I do all of my pattern tutorials like from the basic blocks.
Yeah.
People ask me all the time how to make the basic blocks. I won't do it. I'm so sorry, but like this is how involved it is. Like
it's a lot.
It's a lot. Let's see. We've got like drafting the basic set 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23. There's like 50 steps.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have anything. That is like just your standard basic block. Like, and then it's like you have to sew it in muslin, try it on, and fix the fit issues.
Exactly.
So it's like, yeah. All of my tutorials assume that people are gonna figure that out on their own because it'd be too much.
Honestly, yeah, it is a lot, especially because like, it's to everybody's measurement. So if you're explaining it, you have to be like, okay, well then take your personal measurement and divide by this and do that. And it's like different for everybody. And that's a lot.
Thing is though, what I do think is good about the way that I have been trying to do the tutorials is the things that I'm showing will work on any size garment.
Yes.
Like I think I do get a lot of comments sometimes that are like, oh, but does this work on plus size? Like if I'm just doing the pattern manipulation, I'm adding volume, I'm adding a dart, I'm adding a style line, things like that. Like those will work on any,
right. It's like a concept. Yeah.
On the fit, proportionally how much volume you want to add, how big the dart you want to be, like where you want to put the style line, like that's going to depend on how it fits on you. But it's the same techniques and it's the same, kind of step by step. So I think that's something that probably like at least is able to resonate with a lot of people because those are like, if you have a block that is the right size, well, like you
can do everything.
Tutorials will work.
Yeah, no, I think that's cool. And I think you do have a really cool niche of pattern making because I don't see it very often. I feel like I see a lot of sewing people on TikTok and like sewing techniques and like, hemming this and like doing that, whatever. But like pattern making is I think it's just so complex and nobody wants to take the time to do it.
I'm honestly surprised that I've been able to like grow my account as much as I have, because I just feel like I must have exhausted my audience by now. Like how, like
Yeah.
aren't that many people that are going to be that interested. I'm surprised that there are over 200,000 people that are interested enough to like follow along, like it's so specific, but like
it really is.
it is cool. I feel like I know that I am, this is what I do, but like I would think it'd be interesting to somebody that doesn't even do fashion, because everyone wears clothes, like nobody knows what a pant pattern piece looks like. You see a pant pattern for the first time and you're like, what's that?
Literally.
Or like a sleeve.
A sleeve. Oh my God, yeah.
Like, that's not a sleeve. No.
Especially if there's like volume and like all the things.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like it's so cool. Like I think it's very satisfying. I have a very like spatially oriented brain. Like I'm really good at that whole like rotate this in your head and like where's the cue.
Right.
So I feel like with pattern making, it really comes like pretty naturally to me to be like, here's this really complex like sculptural 3D thing, like and I can deconstruct that and make it a flat piece of paper.
Right. Which is so cool.
That's really the core of pattern making, is like, how do you take something 3D and like make
flatten it out? Yeah.
Yeah,
which is so cool. And I feel like that's the part of like fashion design that people don't see as much, which is probably why you've gained like a good audience from it, because it's like nobody shows that side, and it's like the technical side of things too. So it's like for somebody who isn't like necessarily super creative, like they could do pattern making really well, because it's like just like the kind of like math of it and geometry of it, which like you wouldn't think about.
I am so not a math person, and I'm not a technical person at all. Like a lot of my patterns I will like kind of drape and figure out, but like I feel like people would expect somebody that's really into pattern making to be like super perfectionist and really into like making exact this and that. And like I'll do that on garments that I need to fit perfectly, but honestly a lot of my garments don't need to fit perfectly because they're
I get that.
sized or things like that.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to make a TikTok about this because people will get so mad and it'll be so funny. I use the same pair of scissors for everything in my life. I will literally cut chicken, put them in the dishwasher, and use them on fabric.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I kind of want to make people mad about that, but it's like,
honestly, you should do it.
It's like,
I can't believe you do that.
What happens? Like I cut silk, like maybe it like gets a little jagged edge, but then it's like I hide it. It's a French seam. Like who cares?
Oh my gosh. That is the funniest. That's like the number one thing I always tell people, was like, don't use the same scissors for anything.
Oh,
it was so drilled in my head from every professor, anybody ever tells you like never use your paper scissors for your fabric. Wow.
That being said, I won't let anybody else use my scissors. I have to know where my scissors are going. I will use them on chicken and on fabric.
That is so funny.
I'll like cut my scallions, into my food, and then I'll be like, okay, wash them. They're going back in the sewing room.
That is hilarious.
Like, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But I have like 5 pairs of scissors. Half of them say fabric on them, and I just don't. It's like fabric. Okay, paper.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I can't believe you do that.
I do that. I do have one pair of scissors that's my like delicate fabric scissors where like I don't want them to get super rusty and dulled out.
Yeah.
And, like, I take care of my scissors, but it's like it just depends. It just depends like how much it really matters. Like if I'm making a like couture super silk really delicate dress, like I'll probably just get a new pair of scissors. But they don't have to be like fancy metal shears. They just have to be
yeah. That makes sense.
Or sharpen them. I don't know. But do you think that would be a funny TikTok? I think it'd be a funny TikTok.
I think that would be so funny. Like if you hadn't told me that and that TikTok came up on my For You page and it was you, and I'd be like, I would literally scream at you. I will be one of those comments screaming at you. I will duet it and be screaming at you. Like,
okay, I'm gonna do that right after we get off. That's gonna be the TikTok that I filmed.
Yeah, that is so funny. I can't believe you do that. Is there anything else you do like that I should be aware of?
Be aware of? Well, what are the things that
I don't
I'm
know. Now
not,
I'm trying to think about it.
I'm not like, I
Honestly, I'm not either, in all honesty.
like, I can do extremely high quality work if that's my
Yeah.
goal. You know, like
Yes.
at my job, like things are not done until they're done, and I will continue
Yes.
working on them until they're
Yeah.
ready to go. You know, like, and if it's like, my own like, I just feel like the most important part of being a designer is being able to fix your mistakes.
Yes. That is true.
And like you can't be like, I'm not afraid of making mistakes because I guarantee you, like things that work. Like there have been things that
Yes.
I've tried, like that I've gotten spots on that have been totally uneven, that I've just completely messed up, and like, but it's like usually there's no extra fabric, so you learn how to
Right.
fix it. And like
Yeah.
same thing with sewing, like I worked on this yellow dress. I've been working on this yellow dress for like 2
Right.
months now. I want this yellow dress so bad, like, but like I've probably sewed it and ripped it and sewed it again like 3 or 4 times now. I've completely changed the pattern.
Right.
I've recut the pattern from the same fabric that I've already cut. Like,
Yeah.
like, and it's gonna come out much better. Like, I'm saving money by like not just going out and buying new fabric. Like,
True.
I'm not gonna just settle on a dress that looks like it came from Wish. Like my first draft of it was like, are you kidding?
It was a little tragic, I'm not gonna lie.
It was so ugly.
Yeah.
But like I just kept going at it, and I was like, this
Yeah.
is gonna be a good dress. And I learned a lot. I remembered that draped bias dresses don't need darts, and that's the whole point of a draped bias dress.
Yes.
I don't know why I tried to put darts in a draped bias dress, but now
We've all
I've
been there.
and I know not to do that now. So
Yeah, no, I think that's like a common misconception of people thinking that designers are perfectionists. I feel like every designer I talk to, if they're making something like for themselves, like nobody's making it perfectly. Like the inside of like the garments that I make, that even like the ones that I take pictures of to like then sell, like usually the inside of those is tragic. And like the pattern making was tragic. But then like the ones that I actually sell, like I, perfect them, they look good. They're completely different
yeah.
in terms of
Well,
construction.
the dress that I like, one of my capstone dresses, like the
Mhm.
pink one with all the drapes,
Yeah.
I wore that to my friend invited me to his like senior formal, and I wore it to the formal. So I had to like alter it a little bit to make it fit me because I
Right.
finished the model, and it looked great. But if you were to take the lining out of that dress, you'd be like, what did you do? Like you
Yeah.
destroyed this dress. I mean, it was like so many hand tacks, so many stitches, so many raw
Yep.
edges. Like it looks like a tornado zone inside that dress, but like you never know because it's
No.
covered in the lining,
Yeah. Like as long as it looks good on the outside, it fits well, then nobody needs to know.
Right. And it's like if I were to do it again, like now I know how I would do it differently.
Exactly.
And I probably wouldn't spend that. It had 5 pieces. It was like 1, 2,
Mhm.
3, the back piece and the skirt.
Right.
And I think I spent upwards of 6 hours like hand tacking the pleats on each piece.
Oh
So
my
it was
gosh.
like that was by far the most labor intensive piece of my capstone, even though it was like
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's also like something people don't know is like sometimes the simplest pieces are actually the hardest to make.
yeah. I was like originally like I was really looking forward to that dress because I really like I loved it, but like
Right.
I kind of wasn't expecting it to be so technically challenging, and then it
Yeah.
was, and I was like, I feel like this has earned its spot in the collection, like
Right.
it was as hard to make as the rest of them look.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Although I'm like giving myself a little bit of a break this time. I decided I was considering doing some more like gravity defying fashion things, and I'm like, I don't need to do that. Like I think I'm gonna like work with physics on this one. We're not gonna like
Yes.
yeah, I'm thinking about doing like I'm gonna do like scrap knit, like just get as much scrap as I can and
Mhm.
just like, make it into yarn and like knit a super chunky knit. That's gonna be
That's so cool.
I'm gonna get mesh and
Mhm.
maybe pour latex on it, like cut a dress out of
Mhm.
mesh and then pour latex. Oh, so it's like
Yeah. That
coverage.
would be really cool.
So that's like things that I'm excited about.
I'm excited about it.
Like developing new textile techniques, like
Yeah.
there's nothing I love more than being like, because at first I was like, oh, I'll get like rubber latex and then I'll like cut pattern pieces and I'll like kind
Mhm.
of piece them together.
Right.
And then I was at work yesterday and we were talking about it, and someone was like, oh, just like pour silicone. And I was like, oh.
That is like, I wouldn't even think of that. Like, that's so cool. I'm excited to see it. I feel like I've never really experimented too much with like textile-y things. So I'm so intrigued by that world. Not that I don't think I'll ever be in that world, because literally I don't have time to even think about it. But like, it intrigues me so much. It's so cool.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, you know, people think that it's like, oh, you just go and get fabric, but
Right.
how can I take this fabric and make it into something like a different type of material?
Yes.
How do I take material? Like, no one's thinking I'm gonna make a dress out of silicone core.
Right.
But like,
You can.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Anything is wearable if you make it. And that kind of goes back to like when I was a kid, you know, like using paper and shopping bags and old t-shirts. Like,
yeah,
anything can become fashion. A rug, take a rug, cut it up, make a dress. Like,
yeah, you could.
I'm just choosing things in my room, you know.
Yeah, but it's like very legit. You really can make anything, like clothes, if you style it properly too.
Yeah.
It was wonderful talking to you today. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. This is so great.
Of course. Where can people find you? Give us shout out all your social media.
Oh, amazing. Well, I'm posting, so I have my TikTok, which is at Emma Rubinson official. And my Instagram is the same handle. On TikTok, I kind of post the behind the scenes, like tutorial type of stuff. And then I try to keep my Instagram pretty much to my work and my life. I don't have like a separate personal and design account, because I feel like my life informs so much of my work, and I like to I also just could not handle another account.
It's a lot.
Yeah, that is my handle, and I'm hoping to grow it, you know, a bit more this year. I've been kind of working with some more brands for TikTok posts, and I'm excited to launch my stuff on Instagram. So
yes,
it's good.
I'm excited to see it all like come to life.
Me too. I hope it does.
It will. We are manifesting it for you. It will come to life. Don't you worry. But yeah, thanks for coming on, and we'll see you guys in the next one.